Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, the American pastime in a pandemic. Perry Pierce is the state coordinator for Little League in Connecticut. He's joining us now to talk about COVID's impact on baseball and softball and how the easing of restrictions is changing the game this season. Perry, thank you for being with us. Tell us, what are we seeing on Little League fields around Connecticut this year?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Eric. We are playing baseball and softball throughout the state of Connecticut. Many of our leagues have come back after a abbreviated 2020 season and are playing all their regular seasons and getting excited for tournaments this coming summer.
Now, I coach in Old Lyme, and so I know some of the restrictions my team has to take. Tell us about some of the challenges, because, I mean, everything from the post-game high-five line, sharing of equipment, wearing masks, there's a lot of considerations, and someone who's not in it, like you and I are, may not think about that, but it's a lot to consider, right?
Absolutely. And Little League has put out a lot of resources to help local leagues navigate all these restrictions around protocols. You know, the post-game high five is replaced with a doff of the cap, to changing of baseballs to limit contact. And they've really put a lot of thought and, most importantly, put those resources in leagues' hands so that they could worry about getting the players to play and not all these other logistical aspects. The resources available have been a tremendous help to all our leagues.
What are you hearing from the people actually on the ground, on the field? How's it going? Is it something that is, you know, looks like the baseball we know?
Very much so. Yeah. The last year we had a little bit with the younger kids. It was harder just because they're smaller groups. They tended to want to be together. This year we've been able to extend our opportunities to that area. But in general, everybody's been able to navigate those things, like, for example, not using dugouts, socially spread apart in the dugout areas, and have been able to play full games and without any restrictions.
How much of a concern, I know whether it was an abbreviated season last year, some places no season at all, we hear all this about, you know, the other draws of youth, where maybe 30, 40 years ago, everyone just played Little League because it's what you did. Now there's lacrosse, there's people who play soccer year round, there's other activities out there that may be drawing away some of the kids who would have traditionally played Little League. Does it concern you when you have a year, a gap, a break, that you may not have as many people signing up?
Oh, that's a great question, Eric. Actually, registrations have been back to what we expected in 2020. Baseball was one of the first sports to come back last year. So as a result, people were able to get back on the field and rediscover their enjoyment of the game.
And certainly if there's a place to be social distance, it's out on that ball field. Tell us what's going to be coming up. So many people look forward to that Little League World Series, watching those games on TV. What will we expect this year, and how will it be different?
Fantastic question. We are going to have tournaments this year, internationally as well as domestically. The World Series is going to be scaled back to just a domestic event this year because it will be impossible logistically to get teams from Canada, Japan, the Middle East into the U.S. So we will be doing a domestic World Series in Williamsport at the same time that we would normally do the Little League World Series. As well, we will have a Little League Softball World Series in Greenville, South Carolina, focused on the 12-year-old girls.
And what will that look like as far as these restrictions? Will that have to carry through to there, not using the dugouts, things like that? Or at that point, do you hope to be able to have a more traditional-looking game?
Our goal is to have a traditional-looking game, but obviously, you know, COVID makes it potentially a daily adjustment. As we get closer to those events, we will react accordingly based on local and state guidelines as well as the CDC.
We just had Governor Lamont on the show, and he was talking about, you know, basically lifting all the restrictions outside. So one advantage that Little League has here is that, you know, you're mid-season now as those changes are happening. If another sport came to you, if the soccer folks said, hey, we're getting ready for the fall, or maybe youth football, and said, Perry, what did you learn from this whole endeavor and trying to get back out on the field? What can you share with those other sports on what you've picked up along the way?
Absolutely. So we were really, the flexibility is the number one thing. Put out some guidelines, put things down in writing, get it out to the coaches and communicate, not only with the coaches, but with the parents, utilizing the league websites to get that information out there on what our expectations are so that it is very clear. We found that the kids adapt really, really well. You tell them this is the way it's going to be. They would much rather put a face covering on and be socially distant than not being at the field playing the game.
And do you also have to worry about the spectators as well? Obviously, your duty, I guess, is owed to the players, but you have all these parents sitting there along the sidelines watching. So do you also have to worry that the spectators have to follow certain protocols?
Yep. Last year, when we actually ran a Little League state tournament here in Connecticut, we limited spectators, and as a result, we had to accommodate. We actually did Facebook Live streaming of the games so that parents, grandparents, extended families could watch the games. And I see some of those things potentially making their way into the 2021 tournament as well.
Now, I know part of the reason you're in the role you're in is because you have decades of experience with Little League. So what would you say to someone who's playing today, having had that kind of experience? Has it changed? Is it the same? What should they be making of it, having seen the historical look that you've had?
The game on the field is very much the same as it has been for 100 years, and as Little League has been for close to 75 now. We are excited to have everybody out there. It's a great game. It is a fun game, and that's bottom line. Have fun, and it's a great way to do that.
Well, I would say there is nothing more Connecticut than huddling against the cold, watching 9 and 10-year-olds play baseball on a Wednesday night. And we are all so thankful to be out there doing that. Perry Pierce, we appreciate you coming on this morning, and hopefully we'll continue with some great baseball out there on the fields. Thank you very much for being with us. If you have thoughts on what the governor said or what Perry said, you can email us. We want to hear from you. Email your comments to ct21@wfsb.com. From time to time, we'll go to the mailbag and share some of those comments here on air. That is CT21 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning with Jane Pauley is next. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.
Thanks for watching Channel 3 Eyewitness News. Watch us live wherever you are on our mobile, on our streaming news app. And you can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.